Hi everybody, I'm Julie with Plum Diddle, and in this video today we are going to show you how to make these adorable little pillows. It's a punch needle pillow, and we're going to walk you through everything you need to know to be able to do them, and all the materials and everything you'll need should be right in your kit. And let's get going. The first thing we need to do is assemble the frame. We do that just by pushing the end pieces into the corner pieces and pressing them in firmly so that it fits nice and snug. The next thing we need to do is put our fabric on the frame. In order to do that, we need to remove these clips, and you just slide them towards the corners to slide them off, and then we'll be replacing them on top of the fabric. Place the fabric on top of the frame. You'll want to make sure that it is image side up and that it's all centered inside the frame. Then you'll put your clips on and do those with a little push. It's going to kind of snap in place. Do the two sides and then do the top and bottom. You'll want to have the fabric nice and tight in your frame. So in order to tighten it, you'll just kind of twist the clips in the frame out, and then that just tightens it. We are using our trio punch needle for this project. This needle comes with 3 different size tips in it. It has the mini, the midi, and the mighty. We will be using the midi needle, which is the medium size needle. We're using it because we are punching with number 4 yarn on weaver's cloth. If you're wondering about more information with the trio needle, there is lots to be learned from our video that walks you through everything you need to know, and also the instructions that come with the needle are very thorough and have a lot of information. Now let's assemble our needle. Start by pulling out your midi needle and the handle, and unscrew the tightening collar that's on the handle. Place the midi needle with its compression sleeve back into the handle, and then replace the tightening collar and tighten it part way. Adjust the exposed part of the needle to 3 centimeters long. There's a ruler in your instructions that you can use. Go ahead and tighten the collar so it's very tight. You can use pliers if you'd like. That helps really get it tight so it won't be moving around while you're stitching. Once you have your needle all assembled, we can thread it. You'll take your needle threader and go down through the tube of your needle, starting with the threader on the metal end. You'll end up with a little loop down on the bottom, and then you just run a piece of yarn through the loop, leaving a few inches hanging. Then pull on the tab of your threader, and that will pull your yarn up through the needle. Once you have that finished, take the threader and go from the outside of the needle into the little eye of the needle. And then you'll pull the end of yarn up through the loop of the threader and pull the yarn out the eye. You'll know your needle is threaded properly when you see the yarn running all the way through the handle of the needle, up through the eye of the needle, and hanging out the end. Adjust it so you have a couple inches hanging out, and then I think we're ready to get started punching. There are 4 things we need to know before we start punching. The first one is you need to make sure you don't have any tension on your yarn. You want to make sure it's being able to just flow right through the needle. You don't want to have the yarn getting caught in your hand, so make sure you're holding it like a pencil, and then with the yarn coming around the outside of your hand. The second thing is we want to make sure that our needle is facing the direction that we're going to be stitching. When making your stitches, we'll start by tracing around the outside of each shape. There's this area on the needle. It's a big oval opening, and that's called the face of the needle. You want to have it facing the direction that you're going to stitch. So if I'm stitching towards the left, I'll have it facing towards the left. The third thing you want to know is each stitch needs to go all the way down into the fabric. You push the needle into the fabric, until that tightening collar hits right up against the fabric with each punch. If you're not pushing it down all the way, your stitches won't hold. The fourth thing is, as you're moving over to make your next stitch, keep the tip very close to the fabric. You want it to almost drag right across the surface over to where you're making your next stitch. As you're dragging your needle over to make your next stitch, you'll want to drag it over about 3 millimeters. 3 millimeters is also the same diameter as your needle, so you can use that as a gauge to know how wide each stitch should be. When you finish filling in a shape, you will want to trap that last stitch in by pressing your finger on the needle right where that last stitch was made. Then you can set your needle off to the side, and then you can go in and cut the yarn, and you'll just cut the yarn as close to the fabric as possible. You don't want any tails left that will get pulled on or anything, so you just cut it right close to the fabric. Fill in the rest of your shapes, and when you need to switch colors, just rethread your needle. Remove the clips from the frame by sliding them down towards the corners. This will release the fabric. After you have your project all punched, we're going to sew it into a pillow cover. In 2 of the corners, there are letters. There's an A and a B. We're going to use these letters to help line up where this needs to be folded in order for us to stitch it. Now take the side that is marked with the A and fold it over on top of your punched stitches and match it up with this little spot here where there's another A. Line it up so that it's matching on the top and bottom, and so that it's laying as smooth as possible. Now we'll take the B side. So grab the B corner and fold it over onto the place where it's marked with the B. And once again, you'll want to make sure that you are lining it up so that the edges are straight and as smooth as possible, so that everything will come out looking even and shaped right. It's time to start pinning. We want to pin really well so that this all stays aligned just the way we need it. The first pins are going to go in right where the fabric overlaps. And you do that by inserting the pin into the fabric. You go down through all of the layers and then make sure you're going back up through all of the layers. Pin it right along this blue line, which is our stitching line. Keep pinning until you have a pin about every 2 or 3 inches going across your side. And then we're going to sew our first side. You really have 2 options in how to sew your pillow together. You can sew it by hand, or you can do it by machine. I'm going to show you in this video how to do it by using the back stitch by hand. We'll just be sewing right along that blue line that we just pinned. You'll need to thread your needle. Use about a 30-inch piece of thread, and with the threader that's in your kit, you can pull the thread through the eye of your needle, and once you have it situated, go ahead and tie the bottom of the threads in a knot. We're going to create a seam along the stitch line using the back stitch. The back stitch is a very secure stitch because it is created by guiding each stitch back and securing it into the previous stitch. Insert your needle into the fabric near the edge and go down through all of the layers, then bring it up through all the layers about 1/8 of an inch away. Make a double stitch to secure the start of the seam. We do this by going down in the exact same place where we started. But this time when we bring up our needle, we're going to go 1/8 of an inch past where we brought it up before. This leaves a little gap, so now take your needle and insert it where the previous stitch ended and come up 1/8 inch past the stitch you just made. Continue this across the length of the area you pinned, and then secure the end of your seam by tying a knot or doing another double stitch. Once completed, pin and sew the other side. Now, trim the excess fabric about a 1/2 inch from the seams. You can turn it inside out. Now you can put your pillow inside your pillow cover. You'll need an 18-inch pillow form, and you can get these from any craft store or even Walmart. Now put it in, and you've completed your project. Okay, you guys, we did it. We made it to the end. And I just have to say, I love this pillow. I think it turned out so cute. And thank you so much for crafting with us, and have a happy day.